when I flow for the street.
Who else could it be? Yo, explode. My thoughts were drunken from courts of beers. Was years back before Nasir would explore a career in rap. As a music dude, I mastered this Rubik's Cube. Godzilla, four gargantuan eyes.
What's going on, boxing fans? Julian Williams here at the distance. Got a video for you guys. This is a fantasy matchup between Roy Jones and bad Chad Dawson. So, pretty much I say all the time, I don't do fantasy matchups for fights that can potentially happen. But at this point in time, I don't think that Chad Dawson will ever fight Roy Jones. Roy Jones' time is up. Well, also at the same time, I think the best is possibly yet to come for Chad Dawson. Chad Dawson, unfortunately, is coming up during a time where there are where the top light heavyweights are pretty much legends. Like, you know, I'll say Bernard Hopkins is a legend, and Roy Jones is a legend, of course, and he's just moved up to cruiserweight. But also the good fighters like Glenn Johnson and Antonio Tarver are at the end of their careers, and he has, you know, quality victories over them while they're pretty much at the end of their careers, you know, in their 40s. But also another thing to point out is you know, something else with him is, while these guys are at the end of their careers, you know, he's probably going to make more money fighting these guys in Jean Pascal than, you know, fighting, you know, guys like Shumanov, Cloud, and Brahmer. You know, it's just more money fighting these guys, so I can understand why he's fighting these kind of opponents at this point of his career. And for years, probably since 2008, you know, a lot of fans have been demanding a fight with Dawson Hopkins, which has happened and ended in 2 rounds, which is a letdown to many, including myself. But Chad Dawson overall signifies a fighter who has a lot of skill, very athletically gifted, and has good physical dimensions to himself. Has a long wingspan. You know, and other than that, and he uses that, you know, with his technique in the ring, and from time to time, you know, he has quick feet, he has fast hands, has a high punch output early in fights, has a quickness to counter a fighter. He's usually taller than his opponent, has a long reach, and on the other side, you have an opponent that's just as athletically gifted as Chad Dawson, which is Roy Jones Jr., of course. Roy Jones, at the same time, you know, he had the ability to counter every shot, you know, that you threw at him. Any kind of punch, he had the ability to counter because he was so quick. He was able to get away with having, you know, little technical and fundamental flaws, which, you know, later transpired at the end of his career to where you could see that, hey, he has some technical flaws to where he can't translate it into boxing ability, as I mentioned numerous times. So, but overall, in his prime, you know, Roy was a real beast. You know, he was quick. He had hand speed. He had good punching power. He was quick on his feet. He was, you know, he had the ability to knock you out with a counter shot that you don't see coming, or knock you out with a lead shot that you don't see coming. There's a lot of dimensions to his game athletically, but not, you know, from a boxer's standpoint. He's very unorthodox in the ring. He uses athleticism to get by throughout his career, and he got away with a lot of stuff due to his athleticism. The fact that he's able to get away from punches, you know, so easily. The fact that, you know, he could, you know, he'll stand in an awkward position and he'll confuse you. He's just during his prime, Roy was just, like I said, Roy was just an overall beast, and he was not the most technical fighter. He was more of that unorthodox fighter that was you know, you're gonna have a long night with. You know, you're gonna have a long night with, and you have to come up with many different adjustments to face an opponent like Roy Jones. But also, you have to realize that with a Roy Jones, you know, even with the adjustments that you make with a Roy Jones, he can, you know, he'll make adjustments as well, but the adjustments can lead to an ultimate knockout later on. So, pretty much thinking about this fight, we all know that Chad Dawson's punch output is very high in the early rounds of the fight. You know, he has very high punch output, but also he can be very relaxed and very timid. And Roy Jones on the other side likes facing an opponent who's relaxed and timid. because he can just explode, with a shot that they don't see coming, and actually hurt or possibly knock out his opponent. What Roy would probably try to do in a fight against Chad Dawson is Roy would probably try to walk him down, being that Dawson's a mover and he's a southpaw. So Roy's probably going to try to land either his left hook or his right hand and try to stand in front of him and square up with him throughout the fight. I don't think Roy would try to box with a Chad Dawson because Dawson is taller. Dawson's taller. He has good lateral movement, good reflexes, and not only does he have good reflexes, but also he does like to look for little awkward openings himself. He does like to, and he does stand at a wide base so he can be like elusive with some shots, but also against like a fighter like a Roy Jones, since he's tall and he's tall, he's a southpaw. If Roy tries to throw that right hand, it could possibly land because since he's tall, it's going to lead to a big opening for Roy on the other side. So I would say that Roy Jones would probably in his prime knock out Chad Dawson. I think he would knock out Chad Dawson just due to the fact that as I mentioned, Dawson's going to be relaxed early. He's going to have a high punch output, but he's going to get to the point to where he gets relaxed. And when he's relaxed, it's dangerous. It's very dangerous for Chad Dawson because as we notice in fights, when Dawson gets relaxed and he gets bored, he gets hit. He gets hit and possibly even hurt. And you can hurt a Chad Dawson. Glenn Johnson did it, and Tarver knocked him down, and Jockendu actually, I believe, hurt him a couple of times in their fight back in May. So, me, I would go with Roy Jones knocking him out in probably 10 rounds, just with a shot out of nowhere, or just coming out of nowhere and landing that doubling up his left hook and landing on him, and some punch to throw against the southpaw as well. So, I would go with Roy Jones knocking out bad Chad Dawson, but also that's just my assessment as of right now because Chad Dawson's not. I think the best is yet to come for Chad Dawson, and so we'll see. But I think you'll never know. In probably like 2 or 3 years, I might change my mind and say, hey, Chad Dawson might have knocked out Roy Jones, but Roy would probably hit him with a solid shot that puts him down, and I would say Roy Jones will win against Chad Dawson, probably by knockout. So, anyway, peace. I'm out here. That was Distance. Thanks for watching.
Barely running and ripping, but still I'm flipping on rolls. Hoes be tripping on Devin, Devin don't be tripping on hoes that they be talking